Hi and welcome back. So in today's video, I thought I'd talk about signs and synchronicities from when a loved one passes. And I thought I would tell you a bit story time about my own personal experience from when my dad died, which was 10 plus years ago. So a bit of a backstory. My dad was Danish. And my mum and dad split up when I was about 11. He went back off to Denmark, and I kind of hardly saw him from then on. But yeah, when he passed, I was in the middle of cleaning a big fish tank, and the phone went, and I'll never forget it. It was my mum, and she was really matter of fact, and she was like, I've just had Interpol on the phone. It's your dad, he's gone. And I was like, what do you mean he's gone? And she said it like she was just chatting to me about what she bought from the shops, kind of thing. It was very surreal. And then she said, well, he's gone, he's dead. And obviously I was like, oh my God. And she said, but I gotta go because I've got to phone your sister. And she hung up. And that was it. So naturally, I was upset. I burst into tears. I phoned my husband, and he came home from work. But I continued to finish doing what I was doing, which was cleaning this big fish tank. I couldn't just leave it there. But then when my husband got home, now whether I was in shock or just going through the weird motions, I was like, "Can you take me shopping? I want to go to the supermarket and get some ingredients to make a quiche." And he was like, "Right, okay, yeah, we'll go get some stuff." And I did. I came home, made a quiche, and I just sat and had my tea with a glass of wine. However, on the way to the shops, I got out my front door, and there was on my front door the most beautiful, really big white moth. I've never seen a moth like this in my life. I don't think I'd ever seen a white moth. And I remember just staring at it, and it didn't matter how close I went up to it, it wouldn't budge. It was like it was stuck there. And I took photos of this and just stood there and marveled, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure that's a sign. Bearing in mind this was a good few years ago, so I knew spiritual stuff to a certain extent, but I hadn't gone through like my spiritual awakening. But I knew it was a sign, so I googled it, and it was like, yeah, that's a sure sign that a loved one has just passed. And I was just like, oh, okay, I think that's my dad. Wow. So again, like that evening, sat having a glass of wine, and my brother contacts me, and he was living in South America at the time, and he was like, I've got to travel to Denmark, and I've got to sort a funeral. And then it just suddenly dawned on me, oh my God, oh yeah, we've got all this stuff to sort. There's a funeral to plan. And he said, I don't think I can do it on my own. Can you get a flight? And I was like, well yeah, sure. Now, because it was last minute, I had to go with what was available. So the flight I got meant that I had to do a stop off en route to Denmark, which was at Schiphol Airport. Now, anybody who knows Schiphol Airport in Holland, it's huge. It's one of Europe's biggest airports, I believe, but it's freaking huge. You can get lost so easily. So, got to the airport in Schiphol. Sorry, is that right? Hang on, let me think. Sorry, yes, I was at Schiphol Airport. Um, and I was sat at my gate, all good to go, thinking, my flight's about to arrive, and nothing happened. And I was like, oh my God, I was starting to really panic. And then it dawned on me, I don't know what happened. I really thought I was at the right gate. And no, I was like, I'm at completely the wrong gate. I'm at the wrong end of the freaking airport. That's how far off I was, and I just didn't get it. So anyway, I was running along this travelator, and like everybody was like, "Come on, you can get it, you can get your flight," and they were like wooing me on as I was running like a madman to try and get to the other end of the airport. And this airport's so big that there's like um multiple check-ins, so I was having to be researched, show my passport, get to a next check-in, get searched, and it was like the Blair Witch Project. I was just going here, there, and everywhere. I just didn't know like whether I was going to make this flight. And I got there and I was like, no, sorry, you've missed it. Your bags are off. So I'm now absolutely freaking distraught because from what I understood, the funeral was the next day. I phoned my mum in tears. I'm like, I've missed my flight. And she's like, oh, you silly girl, how the hell have you managed that? And I'm just on my own and I don't know what to do. I'm in a foreign country in this huge airport. So all I can think to do is I go to this desk and there's this really nice Dutch man, and I said to him, please, can you help me? I've got to get to Denmark. And he had every right to say, well, you've missed your flight, ain't my problem. But he didn't. He was really nice and he was like, look, I can stick you on the next flight. It's in 4 hours. And honestly, the relief. So I get on this plane, and then it dawns on me, I'm in freaking business class. Like, I've got loads of leg room. I'm being given a posh meal, get a free newspaper, free drinks, and I'm being waited on. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. I wasn't expecting this. And then the guy sat next to me, turns out he's a Danish doctor. And he's like, he befriends me. And we chatted all the way to Denmark on this flight. And he was so freaking nice. Like I told him, I was going to my dad's funeral, but the whole time he was just like giving me these words of wisdom. He was being so reassuring. He was just like, you need to stay positive. You need to have a good mindset. And he was just like, it was like a massive pep talk from a flipping stranger. And and I remember like saying bye to him, and I was just like, I felt like I made a friend. So So we've had the moth. That's the first sign. Now, the fact that I ended up on a really nice flight and I was sat with a doctor who was giving me this pep talk saying it's going to be all right and reassuring me. Do I think that was a coincidence? No. No, they wanted me on that later flight so I would have a more relaxed and better experience. And I was meant to meet that chap. I mean, he did not have to sit and chat to me the whole time. So I'm totally taking that as sign two. So anyway, not long when I got back from Denmark, we'd done the funeral and everything. Um, I had a dream about my dad, really, really profound dream. It was so crystal clear, and it was him, my dad, and he looked so healthy. He looked young and healthy. And I didn't question it. I didn't go, why do you look so good? Like, because obviously he didn't look like that when he died. Like, he died when he was 63, which is still quite young. But he just looked so young. Like, I'd probably say late 20s, early 30s. He looked so good. And I was like, oh, hi, Dad. And he was just smiling at me, and it was just such a warm, comforting presence. And he looked like he was walking through grass. It to me it looked like he was at some kind of campsite, because he really did like camping. And it was just the reassurance. It was like, hey, I'm okay. I'm brand new. Look how good I look. And so that dream, that one, well, it wasn't just a dream. That was my dad reaching out and saying, I'm okay. Because obviously your dreams are one of the easiest ways for spirit to connect with you, just like your guides, because you've got no ego, you're completely out there. So that for me is sign three. Sign four comes when I'm sat in my lounge or living room, sitting room, whatever you want to call it. I'm on my own, and it's evening, and I've got a candle lit because I like my candles. It makes the room cozy, right? And so I'm just sat on the sofa, zoning out, and my mind's wandering, and I'm thinking about my dad. And then there's this candle on the mantelpiece, and I'm watching it, and I notice that it's kind of like got a mind of its own. This flame looked like it was about to go out, and then it would just come back to life, like really just like spark up again. And I was like, huh, that's really weird. And it kept doing it, like I'd think it and then it did it. So it's like it knew what I was thinking. If I wanted it to go down, it would go down. If I wanted it to go up, it would go up. And I thought to myself, whether it was a knowing, I'm like, oh my God, I think that's my dad. Because I'm just sat here thinking about him. And now this crazy stuff is happening with this flame, which is, flame work. It's scrying, right? So I go up to this flame because I'm fixated, and I verbally start saying, Dad, if that's you, can you bring the flame down? And it did. And then, Dad, if that's really you, can you bring the flame back up, please? And he did. And we did this for a few minutes, and I just thought, to me, it was just a bunch of fun. It was great. So that's that's the other sign. Then I had another dream, and again, this was really profound. So in this dream, my dad was showing me what looked like kind of a cross between a huge swimming pool and the ocean. And he was explaining how it was like an analogy that if you swim across the ocean or the pool, which was a metaphor for the veil, you can connect with us. You can be with us. And he was also showing my brother and sister who were in the dream. He was showing them we can all do this. And he then after that took us to different places, and it was like he was showing us his version of where he was in the spirit world. It was really fun. But yeah, that was quite a powerful dream for me. And then finally, and I have done a video on this, the crazy ass text messages from an old Nokia phone where he messaged me on my phone in big, bold letters that filled the screen, which is not a thing on these old Nokia phones, saying sorry. And he did that twice. And my husband saw it too. And he's a freaking skeptic like you wouldn't believe. But even that got him going. And like I said in the video I did, I even tried to trace where this had come from because there was no number attached to it. It came from nowhere. Um, Once I came out the message, it just disappeared. It wasn't on a log. You know, these phones have a phone log. It wasn't there. Phoned up the network. I was like, I need to find where these messages have come from. They said, sorry, we can't help you. There's just nothing there. Um, we we know. I think it was we know you have these messages, but they're not traceable. They've come from nowhere. And even she was scratching her head. So that's another huge sign. So the reason I wanted to explain my experiences was because I want to give comfort for those who have just lost a loved one or are kind of in that process of they know that they are going to lose somebody soon. And if I had to give advice, it would be uh, when when it happens or if it's happened, just try and stay positive and be as open-minded as you can. Ask for signs. Um, just be, put the intention out there, and just be really aware of your surroundings. Look for synchronicities, and yeah, just be super open to it because then it's easier for them to come through. I've heard it time and time again that if you are distraught, like you're coping so badly and you've kind of closed yourself down, it's really hard for them to get through. It's like it puts a barrier up. But if you can be as open as you can to receiving and yeah, just look for signs, it can bring a lot of comfort, and they can tell you I'm okay, and how great is that? So if this helps anybody, or just gives reassurance from what I told you from my own experience, then that's great. But yeah, I just would like to point out again, I'm not trying to be a YouTuber, and yeah, these videos are just my own personal experiences, my own beliefs. Um, but yeah, this is more of a journal. So on that note, I'm going to head off. I will quickly say, if anybody wants a spirit guide portrait, I'm currently at 4 to 5 months. You can order a portrait in the link below on my website, www.annatrue.co.uk, and I'm going to head off. All right, thank you.